My 2000 Honda Civic CX hatchback has an engine check light. So what I'm going to do here is I have this generic code reader, and we're going to use this to see what code it pulls up. So we're going to look for the OBD2 port. Okay, the code we have is a P0135 oxygen sensor, heater bank 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this code and I'm going to do research on this. We're going to troubleshoot this code P0135, and we'll start with the cheapest, which is we're going to check the fuse. So underneath the dash, it's fuse 15 that we want to check. And so basically you're going to count from here. So it's 1, 2, 3, and you count it all the way up on your way up. And then fuse 15 would be the alternator SP sensor. So we're just going to test this 7.5 amp fuse to see if that is blown. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a voltmeter. I'm going to turn it to the ohms, and I'm going to take the probes, and then I'm going to touch the number 15 fuse. I don't need to pull the fuse out. So you can hear the beep on the voltmeter, which says the fuse is good. So the second step here, what we're going to do is we're going to test the Upstream O2 sensor. You can see it goes into the header here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to unplug this. So under this clip, it's like a clip, and you kind of want to push it in. And while you're pushing it in, it's going to pull out. Once that is pulled out, we can go ahead and push this clip in to separate the connector. Okay, so once these two are unconnected, we'll turn on our voltmeter, and then we want to go to volts, DC volts. So I'm going to go DC volts 20. So with this voltmeter test, what we are doing here is we're going to see if the O2 is getting any power. So with this clip facing forward, which if I'm counting 1, 2, 3, and 4. So number 3, which is this pin right here, the wire is black and yellow stripe. So next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my red probe, and I'm going to touch that pin. With the probe, I'm going to ground it to the battery. Okay, so next thing we'll do here is we will turn the ignition on, but don't crank the car. Okay, the voltmeter is showing 11.9192 volts, so we are getting power source. So that's good. Shut off the ignition. Okay, so next thing we are going to do here is remove the probes. Next wire that we want to check is number 4. So on the pin, looking forward this way, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, which is this pin right here. And the color should be black and white stripe. So black and white stripe. And then what we'll do here is we'll take the black probe and we'll give it contact, and then the red probe we're gonna touch the positive terminal of the battery. Okay, we're gonna turn on the ignition, but don't crank it. And we are showing 11.96 volts, so we are getting a ground, so we're looking good on that. Okay, so the fourth thing we're going to do here is we're going to test ohm resistance on this O2 sensor. And reading off the instructions, it says it needs to be cold, so this car hasn't been started since a few days. Okay, we'll start with turning on our voltmeter, and then we'll turn it to the ohms. And here you can see that my O2 is still unplugged, and what I want to do is I want to probe 3 and 4. Okay, it's better to do this with 2 hands, but since I'm doing it with 1 hand, I kind of have no choice. But actually, let me turn this to 200 ohms. You want to be on the ohm settings. I'm going to be about I'm going to turn it to 200 ohms. So what we want to see is we want to see 10 to 40 ohms. So the voltmeter is showing nothing. Actually, it's showing 1 ohm, and I believe that's correct. If I'm wrong, please someone correct me in the comment section below. So we tested, we are getting power, and we do have a good ground. So the last thing this leads me to think is the O2 needs to be replaced. So I am going to run out to the parts store and pick one up.